The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. On that day, Jesus went out of the house and sat down by the sea. Such large crowds gathered around him that he got into a boat and sat down, and the whole crowd stood along the shore. And he spoke to them at length in parables, saying, A sower went out to sow. And as he sowed, some seed fell on the path, and birds came and ate it up. Some fell on rocky ground, where it had little soil. It sprang up at once, because the soil was not deep. And when the sun rose, it was scorched, and it withered for lack of roots. Some seed fell among thorns, and the thorns grew up and choked it. But some seed fell on rich soil and produced fruit, 100 or 60 and 30-fold. Whoever has ears ought to hear. The Gospel of the Lord. There is no question how central the Word of God is. And in this Word that comes over and over again through readings, we come across what is really in the heart of God, and what is in the mind of God, and what is also the wish of God. So there we have the head, the heart, and the will of God being manifested and communicated through His Word. In the first reading of today, the rain comes down, and then it makes an impact on the ground that it falls. Nothing like the rain comes down and no impact on the earth. And this is the image that we are contemplating from the readings of today. The word that comes from God has that active element in it. It is always lively. It is always dynamic. And it invites every person, the hearers, those who listen to that word, to engage with it actively. Because that is again a reflection of God. God is active, God is alive, and God is dynamic, calling forth everybody to engage with God. The more we are open to the Word of God, then the more we are going to capitalize, the more we are going to take advantage of what this Word of God is all about. So the truth is going to make an impact in our personal lives. This Word of God, again, coming from the heart and the mind and the will of God, becomes a point of reference in terms of also the way we go about our own life. So as Christians, we make a reference to what God says. Particularly in moments when we find ourselves on a crossroad, not knowing which direction to take, since all directions may appear very much attractive. But the only thing is we need to choose one, as the expression says. Because we have two legs, it doesn't mean we can climb two trees at the same time. Instead, we are going to be guided by the Word of God as which direction to take and which not to take. That is where the Word of God becomes an inspiration, a point of reference when it comes to discerning directions. No wonder why John Paul II in 1997, he talked about the Word of God provides security of discernment. So making a decision in the light of the Word of God is going to be always reliable. The decision and the outcome of that decision is not going to be disastrous. Instead, it's going to be very much in harmony, a reflection of the heart and the mind and the will of God, such that we will find ourselves in the right direction. Because of that, again, the Word of God has the capacity to transform people. The Word of God is filled with all kinds of information, so it has that informative element in it, transforming us from within. In order to be beneficiary of all these things that comes from the Word of God, then we need to engage with it actively. As the responsorial psalm of today was telling us, that seed that falls on the ground, because it has landed on a good ground, thank God that it became very fruitful. That land that is fertile, that is ready to welcome the seed, is us. It is our part. That is our section when it comes to engaging with the Word of God. Since the Word of God is always good, and it reflects again the heart and the goodness of the Lord, then that is also very challenging for us in terms of purifying the words that come out of ourselves. At times our words can be directly heading to the bones of each and every person, such that the word becomes debilitating. Very harsh words that promote antagonism, words that characterize others as dangerous and bad. The whole character assassination that is continuously bombarded on individuals and on societies and so on, all because of that word that is not good. And yet we are challenged with the Word of God that is good in itself. This word is very active, very dynamic. It has the potential to generate life. Now tapping from that word becomes a wise decision for us believers. The second reading of today was telling us the Spirit has been poured on each one of us, and we are enjoying the first fruit. The first fruit that is about the faith that we have received and the fact that we are the very dwelling place of the Spirit. That is the first fruit we have received. And it goes on telling us, make sure you maintain that spirit until there comes a time when we are going to see God face to face, and that becomes our culmination in everything. Not only for us, but the whole of creation culminates in God. So we make this journey along this earth, on this planet, heading towards our final destination, and that is where everything is going to culminate. Until then, make sure we nourish ourselves, make sure we form ourselves, make sure we transform and inform ourselves over and over again, utilizing the Word of God. Such that by the time we face our God face to face and we see Him face to face, then we are individuals who have formed themselves with that lively Word of God, such that there is no embarrassment, no shame looking at the face of God, because we have been training ourselves. We have been shaping ourselves with His Word. Then in our journey, we have the Word of God accompanying us until we face our God and see Him face to face. That is where the Word becomes a nourishing Word. So we are lucky to be nourished from this table, and then we move to another table in which again we get another nourishment that comes from the Lord. When we are fed, there is no room for hunger, there is no room for emptiness of whatsoever, such that we have all the capacity, all the stamina to go out, because we are well fed. And when we go out, we don't talk anything that is useless, anything destructive, but always words that are constructive, well formed, well polished by the Word of God. That is how we want the world to be. A world that is encouraged, purified, formed and transformed by the Word of God. And we are messengers of that Word. But to be good, reliable messengers, then we need to be formed by that same Word over and over again. No wonder why we need to allocate time individually so that we engage actively with the Word of God. See our own stories being reflected in the stories of the Word. And that is again how our Christian life should be. And that is what we are called to be. And we should be glad to allow ourselves to be shaped and formed and continuously be nourished. We thank the Lord for his continuous nourishment, and we ask the blessing that we all need, and many other people who may need the same nourishment. Nourishment that comes only and exclusively from our God.